Morning, all. Um, Thank you for jumping on. We'll just give everyone 2 or so minutes to log in, and then we will kick off. Cool. Okay. Tim, do you want to kick us off? We've got a good little group here.
It's awesome. Thanks everyone for joining. Great to be able to talk about some of the new products we've been releasing in the last few weeks and today. Uh, yeah, this recording will pop up on YouTube after we finished. So feel free to run back over it. Obviously, feel free to contact any of us at any time for any further explanation or sessions, and I'll cover that off at the end. Today, we're just going to cover off on some new products around frost detection, our new digital agronomist called Jonesy, and disease risk alerting, and where we're up to with that. So we'll jump straight into it. You're probably aware, if you've been logging on, you'll see Jonesy's been popping up down the bottom right-hand corner. It's basically a tool that'll help interpret the platform and also tasks and tools to actually go and do activities like variable rate. It'll also be able to upload files and ask questions. So you can ask general questions or specific questions about your farm. So that's available now. The second thing we've been working on is disease risk alerting. And so we've been working with GRDC and the University of Sydney to build out disease risk alerting and disease mapping, and I'll go into that in detail in a minute. And lastly, what we're going to talk about today is frost maps. So very excited that that got released last night. So you'll now be able to access that from today. And these are land surface temperature maps developed in combination. Well, so CSIRO has been developing this over the last 4 and a bit years with GRDC's support, and we're delivering that out to customers. So we'll cover off on that. If you've got any questions as we go, feel free to throw them in the Q&A or the chat box, and we can answer them as we go. Just I have trouble seeing who's asking what, so just yell out, Jess, if someone's got a question. So Jonesy, like I said, is our digital agronomist. We often get this sort of question from people that I can see the data, but I don't really know what to do. So we've built it and trained this model to actually interpret the maps for you and also give you suggestions about what to do next. It's got endless opportunities and capabilities as we build more functionality into this tool, and I can see in the future that this will become the primary way that you interact with software. So that's our sort of long-term vision. I guess we're using our long experience to build the capability and train specifically for Australian conditions and your conditions. Also, understanding what are the key issues at particular times in the growing cycle as well. It's really got the big difference is it's got farm context, so it knows where your farms are and can give you specific information based on your location. I think that'll become really important in the future, where beyond things like disease, but also say soil testing, so that it knows if you're in northern New South Wales, then it's relying on information from that region rather than from North America, for example. This tool is a pop-up, so it works across the whole platform. So it's sitting there all the time, and you'll see the icon, you'll see Jonesy's face, and it's named off a famous agronomist here on the Darling Downs. So we thought we'd put, I guess, put a face to the app. So yeah, always welcome on any feedback that you have on this. The other thing is, we are sort of taking record, if you like, of what people are actually inputting into Jonesy, so we can see what people are interested in, and hopefully then build more capability in that area. So yeah, which I think will help improve the product over time. A couple of examples here. I put up a satellite image. It was able to. You can actually ask it, can you please pull up the latest satellite image over this paddock? It actually gives you an interpretation of what it's seeing, and it's noting some striping in the field as well. So pretty exciting that we're able to use this kind of tool to actually interpret an image, which typically in the past has more been around text-based activities, but now we've trained it to do images as well. So I think it's very exciting where this could lead. I think there's a whole great lot of opportunities here to let you know about issues that are happening in the paddock before you even maybe realise or see them in the imagery. The screen on the right it's now suggesting if you want to do a variable rate map on that, there's the steps to actually go and do that. If you click on the link, you can't quite see the link, but there's a link just above that I snipped off. It will take you directly to the variable rate tool. So like I said before, I think in the future it may become more of a conversational type thing where you're trying to solve a problem on a day, and it's guiding you through that process, because just to help navigate the tools that we've got and the growing number of tools we're going to release over coming years. And it just helps you pointers as well in terms of if you're doing a spreader for some fertilizer, then maybe recommend the sort of pixel size. So I think that's the kind of exciting tools that we can use use Jonesy for. Also, we're working on, you can see the big paperclip button there, so you can attach, upload documents. In this case, I uploaded some soil tests that an agronomist already recommended some information on, but from this paddock. But in time you will be uploading photos, soil test results. It'll interpret those things. You might have other information about previous history that could be uploaded. I think it's endless what the possibilities are, and the good thing is that it's storing this information against the farm, so it's keeping that context all the time going forward. So the more you provide it, the more it's learning about your farm, and then therefore giving you much better results and information about that. We are very clear that we're not providing advice, and if you ask it to provide advice, it will say go and contact your agronomist. We obviously we understand very clearly that that's still a very important role, and this is a tool to help interpret information, provide insights, but ultimately the recommendations have got to come from the agronomist. But this is I think exciting part of the future to help navigate the amount of data that we're going to get going forward. Is there any questions on that at all? Jess, no? Anyone got any questions?
Not yet.
All right, we'll jump across to disease. This is something we've been working on for over 4 years now, over 3 years, 3 seasons now with GRDC and the University of Sydney, like I said. So what we've done, it's amazing that we haven't got tools in the market that can actually give you an early indication of disease infection. So I guess very importantly here, I'm talking about the E. If you know anything about diseases, it's genetics by environment by management, G by E by M, right? So genetics are what variety you've planted, how much resistance it has to disease. E is your environment, so do you have the environmental conditions for disease? And M is obviously management, so have you applied a fungicide? So I think this is just covering the E bit for the minute. So is there an environmental condition that's favourable for disease infection? That's very important. It's the infection component, not the infection period or the incubation period. It's the infection point. So I guess we're trying to early alert people to potential risks. We've got 5 different diseases we're working on, and they're foliar diseases, but we'll expand that over time. And also we're putting in the spraying window so that you can see, is there in the future what sort of spraying windows have I got to put the fungicide on? And again, this fits. Again, it's part of Jonesy, so it's sitting in there. It's across the platform, so you can just log into that or access that. Sorry, not log in. Access that at any part of the data farming platform. You might have noticed if you've logged in recently, you've got a new banner at the top. It says set up your disease risk alerts. We're just asking you just to put the time frame you want in there that you want to get alerts for. So if you haven't done that already, jump on and do that. It takes a few seconds, and within 24 hours it'll start those disease risk alerts. It takes just a 24-hour period to register it, and then you'll be getting those disease risk alerts inside the platform, inside Jonesy, and that's happening continuously till the end of where you set the end point of your window, because obviously once the crop's finished, you're not going to be wanting disease risk alerts anymore. This is what it looks like. So you can search by farm, you can filter by farm or by task. So if you've got we're going to, you can see we're going to expand this out in the future to be on disease risk alerts. There'll be a whole heap of other alerts coming in the future. So we can see which ones are the highest priority. You click through, once you click on that box near the high there, number 3, it will take you through the next screen. I'll show you that in a sec. But also in Jonesy, obviously, you can do chats, you can get your alerts, and this is under the activity tab of Jonesy. Here's an example. So you can toggle at the top between barley and wheat. That's all we've got at the moment. And we've got 5 different diseases for both barley and wheat. So rust, septoria, neplotch, and scald. And you can then see those risks, and you can see straight away on this one, there's a high risk leaf rust on Wednesday and on Saturday, but moderate for stripe rust. So we've actually got the criteria for each disease and its environmental conditions and matched the 2 together. That's what this is doing. So you can see we can expand more as we go. Here, like septoria, no risk. So obviously the environmental conditions weren't suitable for septoria. Below that's the spraying windows. What does the next 7 days look like? Give you the times. Obviously that's just a guide because we're working on predictions, which are notoriously poor as we get further out. But it's trying to give us a guide of, do we have some reasonable spraying windows in the next 7 days or not? Is there any questions on that? All good?
All good.
When you scroll down a bit further, Jonesy, you can actually start to interact with Jonesy now, and then so he will tell you that we're seeing a higher risk on this particular paddock on this particular day. It'll then ask you some questions like, what growth stage is that at? Have you applied any fungicide, and what variety? So now it's digging into like all the training that we provided Jonesy to actually understand what your risk profile is. And so now it's saying, well, with those conditions and you're in northern New South Wales, these are sort of, is it a really, really high risk or not? And it's talking also about what's the sort of incubation period, and then giving you some sort of insights around that. So taking like a risk and really deep diving for your particular circumstance about what is the genuine risk based on that. So again, this is the Jonesy capability, is more interactive and I guess deeper understanding. And you can keep digging and digging and digging. You can get full information about disease, or whatever you if you want to upskill yourself a bit, then there's plenty of information loaded in the back end. This is the next exciting bit that we're testing this year, hopefully launch this next year. So I've talked a lot just now about the environmental conditions around disease risk. You've planted a variety which is hopefully not susceptible. But what we're doing now is after that incubation period, and each disease has obviously got its own incubation period. Some are short of 7 days, some are more than 21 or 28 days, right? So what we're doing now is kicking off when you get a high risk disease. And again, this is not available publicly yet, but you can actually then, it's now using satellite imagery to look for anomalies in the paddock. So you can see here, number 1, 2, and 3, it's highlighted 3 spots in this field that are now showing disease potential symptoms. And I think this is a really exciting next level where we've taken 8 or 9 years of archive of imagery and then now running this model from the incubation period onwards. So it's saying that area 1, 2, and 3 there is not acting as it normally does. It's an anomaly, right? So it's just not NDVI, it's using 4 different indices, and they include disease indices that we've researched and developed with GRDC's help. So I think this is very exciting. We've got a number of beta testers in Australia, so we're testing this right now. But I think it's very exciting where we'll be able to help you highlight issues early, get on top of them quickly, and scout in the right place. That's the biggest thing, is knowing where to scout so that we're actually helping. I know most agronomists now might have 15 clients with 50 paddocks each. Well, that's a hell of a lot of paddocks to keep an eye on. So, we're trying to build a tool that will early alert to issues and where to scout. Is there any other questions on disease? All good?
Yes, we have a question from Paul.
Yep.
Does the risk estimator take into account the growth stage of the crop, or is that only interpreted by Jonesy?
Yes, it is taking into account growth stage. Absolutely. Yep. It's modelling the growth of the crop and then looking at areas that aren't normal. Absolutely. And then the historical analysis we're doing on each field actually looks at the growth curves of each paddock and essentially each pixel as well. All good?
And then Paul's also said,
Yep.
do the anomalies take into account the within field agronomic constraints spatially?
Yes. And now we're starting to get into the weeds, but it's doing both a spatial and a temporal analysis. So it's looking for things that are outside of the normal spatial patterns and normal temporal changes. So it's, and like I said, it's 4 different indices coming together. So why 1, 2, and 3 are sort of hotspots is it's showing up on all 4 indices. So there's something really going wrong there. That's out of the normal. I've been testing this myself on some of my clients up here and around on the Darling Downs, and some of it's not picking up foliar disease; it's picking up some root diseases, so nematodes. Oh no, it's not really disease. Sorry, it's picking up nematodes, and then that's leading to poor plant growth. So I think it needs a bit of fine tuning for only just foliars, but I think this is exciting where we can be looking for all sorts of anomalies.
Cool. And Drew just asked if you have to turn it on for per paddock, but no, once you switch it on, Drew, it turns it on for all your farms and fields.
Yeah. Currently the disease risk alerting is only at a farm level. So it's your crop type at your farm level, because the pixel size of the predictions, I think it's 2 kilometers. So I think it's 2 kilometers, or it might be a bit more. So it's really a farm level risk analysis, Drew. Eventually we'll get, this is obviously per paddock, but like the disease risk tools are at a per paddock level. I think we just take the centroid point over the farm, the central point, and use that pixel to do our predictions on. I think that's how they've set it up. Okay, we'll jump across to frost. This is very exciting. This just got launched, like I said, last night, so it's hot off the press. This has been a project we've been involved with for nearly 4 years now as CSRO, funded by GRDC. And it's really about downscaling satellite data. So this is an actually satellite-derived map. It's not from Bureau of Meteorology. It's not from your weather stations. It's not from interpolated maps from BOM. This is a Japanese satellite that images Australia every 10 minutes, and it's primarily used for weather monitoring. And you've seen it on the news where they have the cloud map going through overnight, the stationary image of cloud and things moving across Australia. That is all from the same satellite. So keep in mind that what we're measuring here is surface temperature. So that's part of the satellite's capability, is it's measuring the temperature of the surface, so the leaf surface or the ground surface or the shed surface, right? It's not air temperature. And that's been a big part of this research, is to try and look at what's the difference between surface temperature and air temperature. I mean, I've been involved working on frost ever since I started as an agronomist 30 years ago. And we always measure air temp at head height, right? That's what we do. We put our thermometer in the crop at head height. What this is doing is quite different. It's actually measuring the temperature of the leaf. And so it's been quite challenging to get a correlation between those two things because they're measuring two completely different things. Air temperature does not equal surface temperature. So that's been a big part of the research. The other part is actually scalability. So natively, this satellite collects at 2 kilometres by 2 kilometres, which is not very useful for a paddock level assessment. And as you know, like I've got there, frost damage assessments are demanding and stressful on agronomists and farmers when they've got to run around and try and work out, if they've got a frost, where's the worst affected areas, where do I cut for hay, where do I keep for harvest. So the researchers from SORA have been working for many years to try and downscale this to 30 metre by 30 metre pixels, much more relatable to your farm scale or paddock scale, sub-paddock scale, sorry. So what we've released 2 products today. One is the minimum temperature for that particular day. And the second part of that is how many hours was it below 0 degrees? So you can see there's 2 things, like it's a minimum temp. So it might have been a -4, but it was, 6 hours under 0 degrees. Well, that has a really big impact, right? That's a serious frost because we've got a long duration and we've got, very, very severe temperatures, low temperatures. So whilst this has been years of research, we would love more testing. So please jump on and use this. You can't go back very far in the date range because we've had to set it from a certain date onwards, only for the last few weeks. But from now on in, it should be updating every day. So we're taking all that 10-minute data, if that makes sense, and working out what was the minimum temperature for that pixel, and then how many hours below 0 was that pixel. So it's now under your layers tab, and you'll see there's a 2 kilometre frost and a 30 metre frost. And the drop down there shows minimum temp, and the other one will show hours below 0. So you select on, let's start with the 2 kilometre first, select on 2 kilometres, click on the bottom, it says select a date, you jump up and you can see it only goes back to the 1st of August there. So pick a date, it will then produce this map. So this is the 2 kilometre by 2 kilometre. Now what we've done here is done 100 kilometre by 100 kilometres snapshot, because at 2 kilometres by 2 kilometres, that's what it looks like on this paddocks, on these 3 paddocks. Pretty coarse, pretty hard to interpret. So we're trying to give it also a regional wide perspective to make it a little bit more sensible. So you can see there's areas that were to the north of that farm there were close down to -3 to -4 degrees, and you can see the orange areas are greater than 2 degrees Celsius surface temperature. So it's to give you a bit of an overarching picture of where those frosts were and the damage that might have been caused. The colours there just represent warm to cold, and less than -4 we're in serious trouble, of course. touch wood, we don't get too many more of those. We did notice some -9s on some testing recently, which is pretty scary. So that's the 2 kilometre. I don't know if there's any questions on that. That's the minimum temp, and then you can do the drop down box there, like I said, and get hours below zero. Now let's look at the 30 metres. Now, of course, you can imagine that the 2 kilometres is almost on demand. It's already been captured. That's the resolution. 30 metres is a lot more work. We've got to run the models. So the way we're doing this is that you will select 30 metre frost. You select your date. It will pick your date that you want. Then you have to request a frost map. Now it will give you a little warning. What do you call it? Instructions here that it could take up to 10 minutes to process. So we're obviously working on improving the speed of this, but 10 minutes is pretty good because it used to take hours. So our team has managed to do a really good job of getting this down to minutes now. So it will set that onboard processing, and it will send you an email when that's ready, and you can click through from that email. It'll tell you it's pending there. So August 22nd pending. I've selected August the 22nd back here. It's pending, and then you'll get an email saying your frost map is ready. Click on the farm. You'll then be able to select August the 22nd, and then this is more what that data looks like. I'm getting the team to fix up the colours a bit. It's a little bit pastel-y on this particular example, but it is the same colour scale as the 2 kilometre. And you'll see here now you'll have minimum temp and hours below zero as 2 drop downs. So you'll get 2 different maps. And yeah, you can select as many of those dates as you want, and they'll appear down the bottom. Again, same colour scale, greater than 2 degrees, 2 to 1, 1 to 0, and then down to -4. So you can see there, you can actually turn your locate button on. Importantly, on the right-hand side is your locate button. So if you are in the paddock, you can then turn that on and navigate your way around to find these blue areas that hopefully aren't damaged, but probably most likely to be more severely affected frost areas, and those orange areas may be less frost affected. So again, we would love as many people as possible to test this, please. Any feedback's very much welcome. Please test it, trial it. Let's hope, for the sake of the industry, we don't get too many more frosts. There's been some wicked frosts already. Already got clients ringing us saying they're cutting for hay, so it's pretty sad. But if we hopefully we don't get too many more frosts, but if we do, please reach out and test this. We'd love to hear from you. And if you could just send the map that you worked on where you saw the frost, that'd be very helpful. Any questions on any of that? Pretty much all I had to cover.
No, we're all good.
So if you want any follow-ups, you can scan the QR code here, and we'll be able to provide you with a session. You can book a time in here. We're happy to step through any of this one-on-one. If you've got any other issues, questions, comments, definitely, keen to take you through anything you've seen today or other parts of the platform.
Yeah, and otherwise you can always email us at support@datafarming.com.au as well. We've got some questions actually just coming through now, Tim.
Mm-hmm.
So Zeke has asked, for the frost maps, do you see any integration with elevation maps?
Yeah, well, that's actually how they get to 30 metres. So what they've done, if I could just go back to the 30 metre map, that's actually 30 metre by 30 metre is the shuttle, the elevation maps available for the world. So they've used that base layer in combination with different models of airflow and things like that to actually calibrate against the 2 kilometre pixel. So that's how they've been able to actually do this, is to combine the elevation maps globally available at 30 metre resolution with the 2 kilometre pixels. That's what the project's really been about. So absolutely, it combines both of those layers. Good question.
And then Drew just commented for the color scale for the hours below. When can we expect kind of like probably a bit more definition or variability? You mentioned like the colors here on the screen. Obviously
yes.
kind of hard to differentiate a little.
Let me just bring up one and just see. Just pick a date. Probably won't work very well on this one. Let's have a look at what the hours below zero look like. So yeah, in this particular example, this is in Queensland, so it's not cold. So hours below zero, that's what it looks like. So sort of white to dark blue. So 0 hours to greater than 7 hours below 0 degrees on the 11th of August on this particular farm. Hope everyone's seeing what I'm seeing. If you see gaps like this, then that's cloud. So that's why, but typically we don't get frost when it's cloudy anyway, because you've got a high pressure system sitting over us. It's exposing to the not cold night air. There's another example. This is August the 9th. So yes, this one did get a little bit of frost by looks of that. So in this particular case, some of these are 1 to 2 hours below zero. Let's have a look at what the minimum temps look like. Yeah, so there's some little blotches there, minimum temps, cold sort of air. So yeah, that's the 2 kilometre. That's the 2 kilometre one, and then the 30-metre one's below it. And you can just swap between these as well. If you swap between your layers, you can actually make them transparent, etc., etc. So yeah, that's the frost.
Cool. Any other questions, guys, if you want to post them quickly? Otherwise, we can always feel free to email something across afterwards as well. But we will put this recording up on YouTube and just send out a notification. Cool. I think that is all good.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks all.
Thanks, Tim. Thanks,
Have a good
gents.
day. Bye.